Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with clothes on, I promise, with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm with my bestie Jessica.
Mandy was questioning whether I had clothes on because I'm wearing a dress. I'm wearing a tube top dress. Anyhow, it doesn't look like it, but I am. It's hot in the warehouse. Okay, so today's video is one that we talked about last week that we were going to do when we did our dark romances. These are our Mandy calls them light dark. These are our gray romances. These are the ones that are in the dark romance category, but I don't know. I don't think that they're all that dark, but you might. So definitely check triggers. Remember, the dark is subjective.
It
What I
just really
find to be,
depends on where you're at with reading
mhm,
dark.
yeah. And we both know that I read some really messed up stuff. So some of this really gray stuff for me is going to be dark for everybody else or for a lot of you. So just keep that in mind. And same with Mandy. So, yeah. Mandy's looking at hers, questioning. Nope, they're just all gray, huh?
Well, I was just thinking like there's one on here that I actually wanted to DNF because I didn't
Oh.
like it.
Oh. So then why? We'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, before we get started with the Rex, though, what you got?
Well, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we love having you here and it means a lot to us. Like and comment
Mhm.
below and hype our videos if you want to. We appreciate all of that. And let's see. We are doing our 26 books of 2026, and right now we have a coveted cover giveaway.
We do. We're giving away one copy of the Cloister trilogy to one of our luckiest subscribers. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. This will ship out August, I'm gonna say, just to be on the safe side. I think they'll be here at the end of July, but I'm assuming early August we'll be shipping them out. And possibly, don't quote me on that, but it will go out in August. But this gorgeous bind up of all three books of Celia Aaron's Cloister trilogy will be going out to one lucky subscriber.
And we'll be announcing the winner sometime next week. We don't have an exact date because this is a travel week for us. So we will
Mhm.
get that information to you in our next 1 minute book Rex.
Yep. Okay.
On when we're going to announce it. We're not announcing in our 1 minute book Rex.
No,
We
just
will announce
when.
when we're going to announce in our 1 minute
Yeah.
book Rex.
Yeah. And this is like a really coveted one. Like, I've got people who are on the wait list begging me to get off the wait list, and we aren't going to be able to get everybody off. So it is off
Okay,
the wait list.
let's
Okay.
go.
All right. Well, the first book that I have is one I actually did a reread of yesterday. So I'll be talking about this a couple times, but I couldn't get into anything yesterday. So this is one of my favorite. I feel like the grayish color mafia, the grayish stuff falls into the mafia trope a lot. A lot of the times mafia doesn't get too crazy dark. So this one is my favorite of Neva Altai's, and this one's The Hidden Truths. This is the book number 3. This is Angelina and Sergei's story. So Sergei is crazy. He's a psycho. He's crazy. He's been through something. It's trained him. He's got these moments where he just kind of blanks out and stares at the wall. Angelina is the daughter of a cartel boss, and her dad has just been murdered, and the man who murdered her has taken over his job, or taken over being the cartel dude, and is forcing her to marry him. And so her old nanny, which she calls grandma, smuggles her out and onto this truck. And Sergei and his the Bratva in the U.S. get they get told that there's a girl on a truck that's coming with drugs, and they need to blow it up. And Sergei finds her before he blows it up, and he decides he's going to keep her. And there's just so much more to the story. But I love it. So good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so my first one is going to be Devil's Thirst by Jill Ramsauer. This is in the Moriarty Men series, so it is the first book in there. So this is like your alpha anti-hero who is also an obsessed stalker. So Sante met Amelia about 4 years ago, and when he returns, he just becomes obsessed with her. He stalks her, he watches her dance, he moves in next door to her and just really like inserts himself in her life with her having no idea who he is. And he starts calling her his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Amelia also has some secrets and is terrified of some different things. And so I don't want to give anything away because if I talk too much more about the book, it'll start to go down spoiler land. So this is definitely one where if you're okay with your alpha hero being a little unhinged and you like a little bit of darker romance, this is a great series to read.
Okay. Well, the next one I have is one where I forgot to write down the names of the characters, so we're just going with hero and heroine, and that is Cheater by Dee Prince. This one's different. I haven't really read a lot of books like this one. It is a longer one, but I love it. So our heroine is engaged to her fiance, and the fiance has had an accident recently. He's now in a wheelchair and he doesn't have a lot of feeling, and I think it was from the waist down. I can't remember the deal behind that, but he's really not able to, perform for her at this point. He's really in his feelings about it too, which understandably so, but he's in his feelings. But she also has needs, and so he actually catches her masturbating one night and he loses his mind, and it's like a whole thing. And then he comes to her and basically says, I'm going to give you a hall pass. You can have sex with somebody. It can't be the same person twice. It can't be one of our friends. Or it can't be somebody that we both know. Like like he gives her this rundown. And at first she says no, she's not going to do it. But as the months go by, she finally decides to give in. And so one night she meets a guy. She has a one night stand with him. But that guy will not. That's our quote unquote hero, and he is not going to let her get away. And so he actually blackmails her into a relationship, and he blackmails her and forces her to marry him. And it's like a whole thing. Loved it. It's great. So good.
Okay, so my next book that I'm going to talk about is one that I almost DNF'd because it was my first. I was trying to see if I could see when I actually read it. I read it 4 or 5 months into my obsessive reading journey, and I think this was one of my first dabbles into dark romance. And I called you and I'm like, I don't want to
Oh,
read
I know what
this.
this is.
I don't want to read it. And you're like, just read it. And I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I actually wrote a really quick review on this. This was before we did our channel and everything. And I'm like, I almost didn't read this because Ivory's life made me so angry and sad, but I'm so glad I did though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
that
do.
is,
Before you talk about it too much, I just want to say too, this shows the difference. Like we say reading is subjective and dark is subjective, because to a lot of people, this is where they start, is with this book. And it's so dark. But then years later, it's like, oh, well, that's great. Because you read more of it. So I love
yeah.
that it actually made your gray list, but it was the one you almost DNF because it was too much.
Yes. And I think
Mhm.
another thing with this is that I think also in this, I don't know, like Pam lists it as dark romance, and I definitely would concur that that is.
Yeah.
For me, though, I don't know that I would really think about it so much as dark romance anymore because everything that happens to her is not by our hero. And a
Right.
lot of times in darker romance, like some of our other ones, the hero is involved in whether the dark stuff is directly happening to the heroine or he's just involved in dark stuff,
Yeah.
is usually where it is. So this is more like her personal background makes it dark,
Mm-hmm.
which I still 100% agree. It should be labeled as dark romance. You should always
Yes.
check triggers and all of that
Yes.
stuff. I'm just saying for me, I think that's kind of where some of that evolving comes from. So
Mm-hmm.
in this
Exactly.
book, if you haven't read it or don't know about it, we have Ivory, who is growing up in a horrific environment. She's really abused. Her brother is horrible. Her brother's friends are awful. And she's just really, really trying to survive until she can get out of the situation. She's still in school and it's just really rough. And there is details on page, which is like, I do not want to read this, is where I started from when I was reading this book. But the love story really starts because she connects with Emmerich, who is her teacher at the school. And things just kind of evolve between the two of them. It was also like such a great taboo age gap romance as well. So I loved it. Like he really oh, their story is just so incredible. I loved it so much. Just know going in that the first part is really kind of difficult to read at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think I would be really bothered by it, but I think I could probably breeze past it faster than I did the first time.
Yeah. I remember the first time I read it, it was a little It was a lot. It's a
Yeah.
gateway drug though, because then it leads to everything else. So then you pick up her Deliver series and you're like, oh yeah, this is so much more. Although
Yeah.
it's still kind of classified as grayish, depending. I was reread reread one of them earlier in the week too. Oh, it's all good. Okay. The next book I have is obviously these are our favorites, so I'm trying not to say this is one of my favorites, but these are some of our favorites. Brutal Husband by Lilith Vincent. I really, oh, it's one of my favorites. So this is about Nero and Rita. So Rita is married to Nero, and she has been for a while. This is like mafia adjacent. And she is very confused by her husband. So it was an arranged marriage. But there are times when he is very loving and very caring and affectionate with her. And then there are times when he is a cold-hearted bastard and she doesn't know. It's like almost like there's two different, almost like he's got two different personalities. She doesn't know when she sees her husband, when she comes home or when he comes home, which personality she's going to get. She doesn't know if it's going to be the cold-hearted bastard who wants nothing to do with her, or if it's going to be the one who's loving and affectionate. And so she really does like walk on eggshells all the time and just has no clue what's happening inside of her own home. Well, then something happens and she thinks that he has died. And she lives her life for a good solid 6 months without her husband, happy as can be. But then he's back. Now he's back and he wants to kill her for whatever reason. And we're gonna go from there. We're gonna go from there. There's a lot of twists and turns. I am leaving a lot of huge things out because they're spoilers, but just know that this isn't what it seems. Nothing in this book is what it seems. And oh, it's so good. I wanted to do a special edition of this one. Damn it.
Okay.
Okay.
My next one, I think that sometimes when you are reading dark romance in contemporary, if you go look at Goodreads and something has like a 3 point, I almost say 3.9 or less, usually I'm not going to care for it. Usually. So
Unless
it's
it's
pretty good indicator for me for
yeah.
contemporary.
Uh,
In dark romance, though, I feel like you cannot trust Goodreads ratings. And my
no.
next book is a perfect example. As of the moment of us recording this book has 99,980 ratings and is rated at a 3.53.
Mm-hmm.
I feel 100%. Now, there might be some people who are like, I love dark romance, and this author is just not for me. That's understandable. But for this to be at a 3.53, I think way too many people try to read dark romance. And just, I was skimming the reviews while you were talking, and I'm like,
Yeah.
too many people are trying to read dark romance.
It's
And then
just
they're
not right book.
marking it down for being a dark romance. One of the
Yeah.
comments was like, he was too obsessive.
I saw this yesterday. I saw this yesterday. I was looking up. I love that crazy ultra dark series by Ellie Sanders. Her Brother and Lord series, but it is some of the darkest stuff that I've ever read. So we're talking like dark, dark, dark. And I went to go look because I have a spot that I'm trying to fill with an author, and I went to go look to see if she'd be somebody I would consider to do. And I noticed that the first book is rated like 3.6 on Goodreads. And it's because people are trying to read a dark horror type romance, which I would consider a horror because of the things they do to the girls. And they're expecting it to be some big romantic gesture. Like they're more like the people who read Gray and they don't expect it to be this dark and you're marking it down for being dark. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
So you really can't judge by those ratings for dark.
So that is The Pugging Wrong Number by C.R. Jane. I was just floored when I saw that it's a 3.53 because
Yeah.
this was a 5-star for me. It was a 5-star for you. I'm looking
Yep.
right now on Goodreads. Like I love her series. There's been a couple where I'd say they were more of a 4, but definitely not
Well,
at
the
a
Pucking Wrong,
3.5.
I feel like the Pucking Wrong series was, I think the majority of them were 5s for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the football one that's kind of hit or miss for me. I've only read the first 2 in the football one, but they still have the same. Like
One
I'm sure
of
you're gonna talk
them
about
was
this.
a 4 for me. The
I think
Wrong
it's the
Catch was the
second one.
last one I read, and I loved it.
Yeah, I want to read that before we leave. I'll probably read that on the plane tomorrow. Who knows? But yeah, her dark doesn't feel like dark, and I'm sure you're gonna talk about that. So go ahead.
Okay, so in this, We have Ari. Nope, I'm in the fucking wrong guy, not the fucking wrong
Yeah.
number. Lincoln. Lincoln, and what was her name? Crap.
Lincoln and
Oh my gosh.
Link and
Monroe.
thank you. I was like, I knew it was something different. It was like somebody's last name. So
Yes.
yeah, there you go. Uh-huh.
Okay. So in this, and also the author talks about trigger warnings and like all of this. So it's just perplexing that
It's
people
annoying to me.
go and rate it a 1 and say that he's too obsessive and a stalker.
Yeah, make
The
it make
whole
sense.
premise. The
Make
whole
it make
premise.
sense.
So if this is not what you're looking for, do not read this book.
Mhm.
So Lincoln gets a text, or he's trying to text somebody, and he gets a response that that it's the wrong number, and he doesn't believe her. I can't remember exactly what happens, but she ends up sending him a picture. I think she's like flipping him off in the picture, and that kind of starts his spiral. So they start texting each other. Um, I loved like the wrong texting thing and how that set it off. And I've tried to find more books like that, and I've not been super successful in that.
No.
And so once he sees her, he is just like, it is like a switch in his head, and he just becomes obsessed with her. He is a hockey star, like, and he he starts inserting himself into her life. He starts manipulating situations, and it's a little twisted. I mean, obviously, in real life, we would not be supporting any of this, and we would be questioning Monroe about everything. But it's just so good. And like all of her heroes have this obsessiveness. Once it just clicks for them, once they meet their person, they are done.
Yeah.
And this is truly one where we can jokingly say like everything her characters do is always for the better of the heroine. Whether we would agree with it or not, it is always in their best interest.
Definitely.
Like, it's not like they're manipulative, but they're not trying to manipulate the situation. Like,
Like, dude, get me fired from my job so I can sit around and read books.
yes,
I
yes.
mean, don't
It's
really,
always
because
like,
that's
it's things that we would definitely not approve of in real life.
exactly
But you shouldn't be reading dark romance if you're looking for things that you can approve of in real life.
realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. The next one that I have is The Ties That Bind duet by Natasha Knight and A. Zavarelli. I feel like anything you read by Natasha Knight or A. Zavarelli, whether that be something they write together or separate, falls under this great category. I love their writing. So this was the first duet that duet that I read by those two as a co-writing duo. So this one, the first book is mine. The second book is called his, but you can find it as a bind up now under The Ties That Bind duet. So in this one, our heroine is young with no family. She's got no connections. She's basically living out of like garbage bags kind of a situation, and couch surfing. She's really down on her luck, and she's living with her friend or staying with her friend off and on, and she ends up leaving her purse behind at a club, and the club owner finds it. She ends up having a one night stand with that. I can't remember if she leaves the purse behind or if she leaves the purse behind when she leaves his house, but they end up having a one night stand. She meets this guy at a club one night. They end up having a one night stand. And then he has her information because she leaves it. And so they kind of hook up here and there. They see each other every once in a while. They kind of hook up. Her best friend's warning her about this guy, and she's like, he's hot. I mean, why not? And then one night she's at her best friend's house when some big bad dudes come in and murder everybody, and she's the only one that survives. She has a flash drive that she's been saved, like that her best friend gave her before she pushed her basically out the window when this was happening, and she knows that it's something that they want. She figures out this guy that she slept with is the guy, so she goes on the run. She also finds out she's pregnant, and then a handful of years later, guess who finds her and comes back for his baby? I love books like that.
Is it Carlos? Is Carlos who comes back?
No, I can't remember his name. That's his name? No.
You said guess, so I was just randomly guessing.
Oh, Carlos. I don't know Carlos, so I don't know. I don't know that I've read a romance where the guy's name has been Carlos. Not like there's anything wrong with that name. I just don't know that I've ever read one with a Carlos. Normally it's a Luca.
Luca is very popular.
Luca's hella popular. So, okay.
Okay. So my next one is called Hope Rising by Vanessa Sheets. This would be a good one, like another good entry into dark romance, because everything that happens is separate. Like all the dark stuff is pretty separate from like the heroine and the hero. The heroine and the hero actually help heal each other in this one. So in this one we have Grace. Grace was abducted by this man, and she did not know it when she was abducted, but she was already 3 months pregnant, and she's been held in this farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. She's given birth to her daughter. Her daughter is still very young, and he manipulates everything that she does based on her daughter, like, and she's gotten to a point where she realizes she has got to do something. Like, she cannot keeps living in this environment with her daughter. Like, it's not okay. Like, so she's really feeling desperate when she notices that the person next door, like, there's this house like next, they're out in the middle of nowhere in this farmhouse, but there's a home close by that's been abandoned, and somebody has bought it and is moving in. And so she realizes this is her chance. So she kind of like goes through this plan to come up with how they're going to escape. And one day she grabs her daughter, she sees him leaving, and she runs as fast as she can and jumps in the truck and is just like, run, run, drive, drive, drive as fast as you can. Please help me. And so this is Declan, and they take off together, and Declan is very haunted by his past. And so it goes from there. The reason that I would list this as dark romance, though, is that there is some details about like the conditions she's living in and things that are happening to her while she's being held by this man. So I loved it.
Okay. I think this
Obviously,
next,
because it's in this
obviously, it's on the list.
recommendation.
This
Right.
next author is a gateway author. Everybody reads her. I mean, a lot of people read her. If you haven't, you need to pick her up. She's definitely great. I think any of her books fall into this category. And they're all kind of mafia. So, Sweet Temptation by Cora Riley. Anything by Cora Riley could fall into this category, but Sweet Temptation is my favorite. I wonder if Mandy will have Luca on here later. Anyhow, this one's my favorite.
There is no need to wonder.
This one, I think, out of all of hers, is probably one of the lightest ones. But this one definitely is mafia. But this is about Cassio and Gia. At the beginning of this book, Cassio is a husband and a father to two very young children. We're talking like, I think the little boy is 2, pushing 3, and the baby is just a couple months old, when his wife suddenly dies. And it was an arranged marriage. There was not a lot of love between the two of them, but she dies under mysterious circumstances. The rumor in the mafia is that he killed her. Like, there's a lot going on here. He's in his 30s. And he's really struggling to take care of the kids. And instead of just getting a nanny, the mafia is pushing him to remarry. And so his higher ups are pushing him to remarry. And so he decides reluctantly that he will remarry. And that is where Gia comes in. Wait, wasn't Gia? Julia. Gia was the wife. Julia comes in. And Julia is just weeks out from turning 18 when her dad comes to her and is like, oh my gosh, the underboss of Cincinnati wants to marry you. And her fiance had been killed, so that's the only reason why she was available, because they married them off very young, or at least they get them engaged very young in the mafia here. And so the day after her 18th birthday, they are married. And basically, she goes into his house not knowing what she's getting herself into, and going as like a glorified nanny that just happens to put out every once in a while too. But she finds her footing. She finds her place. But I love seeing the way she is with the kids and how she starts to assert, who she is with a very domineering older man. So it's one of my favorites. Might have to do a reread of that sometime soon too. I love it. Okay.
Next, I have King by S.J. Tilley. Let's just all take a moment.
Look at the Is she gonna be at the event? No, she's not gonna be at the event this weekend, is she?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I haven't seen her at the event for a while. Okay, anyhow.
Okay, so in this, we have Savannah, and Savannah. Okay, Savannah is out on a date. And she learns that the guy that she's on the date with is actually married. And she finds this out when King busts in because Savannah's date is married to King's sister. And King busts in on the date and like flips out, and Savannah's like, what the fuck, basically, and gets out of there. Well, she realizes that she left her purse behind. So she goes back, I think it was her purse. She goes back to get her purse or whatever she forgot. And she sees King kill her date. So she panics and tries to get away, but King sees that she saw. This is kind of like the Friends thing. And so King is like, you can't leave. You have to stay here with me. So he takes her, and what any good person would do in this situation, he's like, there's only one solution. You have to marry me now.
Yeah. You can't testify against me if you're married to me.
So he forces her to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the story of how one really bad date goes really wrong and then turns out okay eventually. So
Becomes the
again,
love of your
King
life.
is nothing, like he does force her. Like this is very light on the forcing and all of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is still dark
Yeah.
romance, but it's on a lighter side, which is why it's in this video. But I just realized as I'm describing this could kind of sound like extremely dark. Like he's just
No,
like,
he's
he's
another one that does
basically
things
like,
for her own good.
well, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Did not want you to see that. So this is the best plan I can come up with. Because if we're
Mm-hmm.
married, then you're not going to testify against me and I can keep an eye on you.
Yeah. Bonus, I think you're hot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so the next one I have is dark for in kind of different ways than the other ones. So this is Row by Dylan Page. So I've talked about this one a few times. This one is dark because of the things that happen to the characters, not by the hero. So this is the story of Kate, and Kate and her, this takes place in 1973. Kate and three of her friends from college decide that they're going to go kayaking. They've never been kayaking, so this was smart. They're going to go kayaking down this river. They belong to a little club in college. Down this river in this national park that just opened up in Oregon. And it hasn't been open for, 20, 30 years or something like that. Anyhow, they're as they go, they realize that they are in over their heads, and it's getting very interesting. And on like the second or third day of this kayaking expedition, something goes terribly wrong. They get into whitewater. The girls are separated. Their kayaks all crash at different places, so they can't find each other. When Kate is alone in the woods in this place at night that has had nobody there for forever, she gets found by bad guys. They're like bad cavemen, and then saved by the good cavemen. And that is where Ro comes in. He's our hero. Yeah, there were like caveman type people living in the forest, and that's probably why nobody's been allowed to be in there. But there's like, I love it because he's like, oh, yep, that one's mine, and I'm gonna keep her. I don't blame her. She'd never have to pay bills again. I mean, yeah, you gotta hunt and gather, but come on.
Okay. Okay. Next, I have Grimm by DJ Krimmer and Joe Arden. So this is like a dark romantasy book, is how it's listed. I don't know that I would really consider it super romantasy because I really enjoyed it.
I think it's the paranormal aspect, why they call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not your typical romantasy genre.
No.
So in this, we have Rue. Rue is dying. She has a health condition, and so she knows her days are numbered. And Kane is a reaper, and he comes to claim her. And Rue basically begs him for a few more days. So he decides to grant this to her. And his superiors, let's just say, are not happy with him at all for doing this. And so now he has to follow her around for the next, I think he gave her, what did he give her?
It was
9 days. He
like
gave her 9 more days.
9 days. Mm-hmm.
And so he now follows her around for these 9 days. And yeah, I mean, it's so different. It's so
Yeah.
different. And it was really good. I really, really
It was
enjoyed it. So
addicting.
what?
It was addicting. It was one of
Yes.
those you just didn't want to put down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really good though. So
Yeah. Okay. The next one I
it
have is
does have like the darker elements because like we're dealing with death and like all of that stuff. So it
Mm-hmm.
is, and
Yeah.
there's more stuff. And it really got kind of set up like they were going to write more in this world. And
I think they are. I just think there's a lot of controversy with Joe, and I think that falls back on DJ, and then it's not cool. The whole situation is just not cool in general.
yeah.
So, because people just can't let sleeping dogs lie. So, anyhow, okay. The next book I have, Failed in Hate by BJ Alpha. My special editions aren't here yet. They're on their way. Anyhow, this is one of my favorite BJ Alphas, and I know I say that about every time any BJ Alpha I pull up, but this one really, really is. This
So you've been lying to us for the other
I
ones?
mean, like every time when you tell me to pick a favorite, I really can't. It's very difficult. So anyhow, this is about Camille and Luca. Shocking. There's a Luca. This is a standalone. I think BJ says she's going to write more in this world, but she hasn't yet. I'm going to bug her about that as soon as we get done recording. Anyhow, so Camille and Luca, they are a part of rival mafia families. And Camille, so there's been a war going on between both mafias, and it's because Camille's twin brother supposedly killed Luca's sister, and so he started a war, and crap has hit the fan ever since. Well, now the capos of both of these mafias are over it. Like they're done with people dying left, right, and sideways. They're done with the war, and so they come to both of them and say, "You're going to get married, and we are sealing this with a marriage. This war is ending. We're over it." And so they're basically forced into a marriage, and they hate each other with a passion, obviously. He says he'll never have kids with her because he doesn't want his blood tainted with hers. It's very angsty, but it's also very dark because he is mafia. The things he does to her, it's kind of got those bully aspects. Because he is not very nice to her, but oh, it is so good. Just saying.
Okay, next I have In Her Shadows by Lila Rain. So Eloise has had a really hard time letting men into her life. She's just like really closed off and she's trying, but it's not working. And Ren has been obsessed with her. He's been watching her and just 100% obsessed with her. And one day she goes out and she gets drunk and she passes out in an alley. And this is not typical behavior of her, but it just happens. And Rin, of course, is doing what any good stalker obsessive guy does, is right there. So he grabs her, he takes her home, gets her into her apartment, and stays with her. And she wakes up and is like, kind of like, what the hell? But yet he's the first man she's been able to let into her personal space and be close to her, and she's not freaking out. So that kind of freaks her out a little bit. So she confronts him about all of this stuff, which just leads to him up in the ante. And there's the breeding kink and like a lot of other stuff going on in this book, but there's also some twists and turns. So yes.
All right. Next, I have one that I begged Mandy to read over and over and over again. She hasn't done it yet, and I'm feeling very hurt by this. So this book,
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Wildling.
Oh, it's on my Kindle.
On my Kindle is not in my head. No, it's okay. This is Wildling by Lynn Burke. This is the story of Sage and Flynn. So this takes place in Alaska. Sage works at like the local mercantile. because when you're in remote villages, you don't have like grocery store, like big grocery store type situations that kind of sell everything. But anyhow, she works there. She met a guy who was a man from the bush, who comes in a couple of times a year. And so she met him the year before, or the must have been the fall before. It was in the fall. And she had a date with him. He's a lot older, but you know, she doesn't have a lot of options as far as like guys who wanted to date her. It's a small town. Um, her parents are hoarders. She really doesn't want to live with them anymore. So when the guy comes back to load up on supplies for the next season, she reluctantly says yes. Not like she doesn't want to marry him, but he proposes to her and she doesn't know him, but she thinks anything is going to be better than what than the situation that she's in right now. So she says yes. She marries this guy, and he flies her out to her home, to his homestead, where she meets his son Flynn, who's just like a year younger than her. Flynn has been raised like he has never left the homestead. He has been in the bush his whole life. His dad has never let him out, like leave that area. Come to find out, the dad, the man that Sage married, is extremely abusive towards her, abusive towards Flynn. And it is not a good situation to be in. The signs were kind of there, but they weren't. And she, you know, really hates herself for not seeing the signs. But because of the way he treats them, they gravitate towards each other. And, you know, Flynn is the hero of this book. So just saying.
Okay. Next, I have Savage Obsession by Kate Oliver. So this is a great one if you are wanting to get into dark romance and you want to kind of be on the lighter side of it. Kate writes really, really good in the gray area, I guess, where you still really like your heroes, but they're flawed. So the first one, this is actually book 2, but I loved book 1 as well, but we're going with like our faves. So that's why I grabbed book 2 in this series. And that's part of Savage Sins. So we have Xander. Xander is on a path of self-destruction. Like things are not going great for him. He's doing really careless things like driving drunk. And in this book, he actually gets called out for it. Sometimes we see our characters in books doing things where we're like, oh, why is nobody intervening? And this, he actually gets called out for his behavior because it's becoming a real problem for him. We have Quinn, who is working 3 jobs. She is basically getting the shakedown from this guy who runs the care home that her mom is in. And so she's strapped for cash. Like things have just not gone well for her. She lives in Xander's building. She's like in one of the low apartments, like in the lower part, and he's like up in the penthouse. She can barely afford rent. And he one day gets some mail of hers, and he thought his housekeeper was taking care of it, and he realizes that she didn't. So he just decides to take it down to her. When Quinn opens the door, for like the first time in a long time, he finally feels something, and he doesn't really know why he's feeling what he's feeling. He has a serious alcohol problem. And like I said, path of self-destruction. Quinn grew up in a home like that, and she wants absolutely nothing to do with it. So it's so good.
Okay.
So good. Oh, and he's involved in like mafia adjacent type dealings. Like if you've seen Yellowstone and they take people to the train tracks, they take people out in the desert because this is all based in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So dark elements, but much more on the lighter side.
Okay. This one I didn't pull out of the plastic because it's one of my, just in case somebody else's gets damaged kind of thing. So that is Devil of Dublin by B.B. Easton. So you can see it's still in the plastic. This one, for some, they consider this really dark, and I think it's because of the things that happened to Kellen as a child. But I consider this a little bit more gray. So this is the story of Kellen and Darby. This takes place in Ireland, and the audio is superb. Eric is an actual Irish gentleman, an Irish actor, and he reads. Eric Nolan does the voice for Kellen. Anyhow, Darby is from the US, and her grandpa lives in Ireland. And when I think she's like 7 or 8, she goes with her mom to visit her grandpa in Ireland. And one day she's out exploring in the woods. Her grandpa's been telling her all of these Irish folk tales and all about the fairies and stuff. So she's going to go out and she's going to find herself a fairy circle and find herself a fairy. And when she does, she's out exploring the forest behind her grandpa's home, and she comes upon a rundown cottage. And inside that cottage, she finds Kellen. Now, Kellen is, I think he's like a year or two older than her, not very much older than her. They're very young. And Kellen he lives with the local priest, but you can tell he's very neglected. He's very abused. He's got a cut on his lip. So something has definitely happened. She thinks he's a fairy. She's so excited to have found a fairy. And they play a little game that day. And then that's like, he doesn't talk, he's mute, but he forms an attachment to her and her to him. And every year she goes back to visit her grandpa. And every year she sees Kellen. Every year, like, he waits for her. Then one year she doesn't come because her parents are going through, her mom died. Something happened. She doesn't come back one year. He loses his mind when he sees her the following year. And then something else happens that keeps her away for many years. In the meantime, she hears that he was killed in a fire and she's just devastated. Well, then now she's back and things that she presumed aren't 100% true. So I love this because of the Irish folklore. It just did it for me. I loved it.
Okay, so again, these are our faves. So I know you had one on from this series on the dark romance, and I'm going to have it on the light romance, but this is Born for
I didn't
Marble.
put it on my dark.
You had Born for Silk.
No, I just mentioned it as one. I didn't actually I had it and then I crossed it off thinking it was more light.
Oh, I thought you talked about it.
I mentioned it when you were like, oh, I need to find another one. And I was like, well, what about Born for Silk? And then we both discussed it. I was like, yeah, it is a little more gray. So no, I didn't have it. I had it as an alternate, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Tuscany in this, who's the sister to Rome from Born to Silk. And so Kong is her guardian. And so basically what a guardian is kind of like a bodyguard. And so his job is to make sure nothing happens to her, no one touches her, she stays pure, all of those things. And it is, there's definitely some serious dark elements in here because it's a dystopian world and the way that people are treated and the horrific things that happen to people, especially to Tuscany. She's been through it. Like, it is rough for her. And so I'm not going to go into all those details. You can read it, but definitely check triggers because it's sad what happened to her. So, and that starts at age 10. Like at age 10 is when it happens because she is going to be queen. And in this one, we see, like in the other book, we see where it seems like she has accepted, like she is okay, like this is my destiny, this is my duty type thing. But in here, we really get to see where she's struggling a lot with that. And a lot of what she's presents to everyone else is like, what's the word I'm looking for? She
has to be marble. She has to show that side of her.
Yeah,
she has to
she
show that
keeps
tough
all of
side.
those feelings like hidden and doesn't let anybody know about those. And she decides that she really wants to go out and see her people. This becomes a huge issue, but eventually Kong is allowed to take her out to go see the people. And this is when their relationship really starts to change, although it's probably been different for Kong for a little bit of time. And yeah, but he's like, she cannot be touched by a man. And her and Kong want each other.
They want to touch.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And I know it looks intimidating because it's kind of big. And I normally don't like world building, but in this, I feel like in this series, she does such a great job of like the story is woven into the world building, so you don't feel like you're reading like 10 chapters of world building. Like we get going real quick in these.
Yep. Yeah, they're good. And the audio is amazing for all of them. Okay. My last book is Lawless God by Lola King. This is my favorite Lola King. These are about gangs and like not like rich people, which is great because it's kind of cool to read something where people struggle like everyday people. It's great, except I don't belong to a gang. So I guess that's the only difference. Anyhow, I belong to a book gang though. But anyhow, this is the story of Nathan and Kayla. Kayla runs the gang in her area. She is the head of it. She got it handed down to her by her dad. And she's kind of ruthless. But her dad, before he hands over the reins to her, a few years before the book really gets going, we see that he basically offers her up to this mafia guy, Nathan, in order for them to get these mafia people on their side of their gang and to get their funding and that kind of stuff for to make a better situation so that they have more territory and more people backing them in their area. And Nathan wants the boner. Like that's the whole thing. Like she's been offered up to him and he's going to do what has been offered to her or to him by her father. And so Kayla reluctantly does this. She really doesn't want to sleep with him, but then she likes it, but she doesn't want anybody to know that she likes it. And so something happens and Nathan gets put on trial and it's for something that he actually didn't do. And she testifies against him to put him in prison. Well, now it's been like 3 or 4 years later. He was supposed to be in prison for a very long time. She gets a call that he's out. He made parole. He got out early and now she's in danger. And then she turns around and there he is. And he's like, oh, by the way, I'm keeping you. And he practically like shackles her to the bed at his house. But she's keeping a huge secret. And he's hoping the Stockholm syndrome will set in really, really quickly. So loved it.
Okay.
He wants revenge.
For my last one, I have Luca and Bound by Honor by Cora Riley. I read these together at the same time, which I really, really enjoyed because Bound by Honor is just Arya's point of view and Luca's is just Luca's. So I loved reading them together. You can choose to, obviously, you can read one by itself, but I feel like they go really well together. And if you didn't want to read them in tandem, I would probably read Bound by Honor and then read Luca. Okay, so I'm just going to hold up Luca because he's my fave.
Okay.
Anyway, okay. So this starts off the Born in Blood series, which is heavily mafia based. I would say it's a little bit lighter in the beginning. And like as you go through her world, she starts to get a little bit darker in the mafia stuff. There's like some, but not. It's heavy mafia, but lighter on the dark side. But I think the first few books aren't. There's some that are a little more gruesome than others, I guess, is what I was trying to get at. Anyway, so in this, we have Arya. When she is 15, she is told that she is going to marry Luca. Luca is not, he's like, she is a child. No, thank you. He's kind of cold about it, but this is how their mafia, like arranged marriages work. So he insists that she has to be older before anything happens between them. And so when she turns 18, they get married, and they have some pretty interesting rules and things like that. And she believes that Luca is like this cruel mafia man, and Luca was raised in a very horrible world. And so she is a little bit concerned about this, but she believes it's completely her duty to do this. So while she's not like jumping for joy, she is totally okay like with this, and she wants to try really hard to make this marriage work. And Luca is just looking at it as a transaction, a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it so much.
It's a gateway drug in the dark.
Oh, definitely. And there's so much more to it, but I don't want to spoil anything. It's just so good. Loved it so much.
Yay.
Cora's another one whose stuff kind of gets beat up a little bit in Goodreads, and I just don't understand why.
No. And there's a lot of people who were like tried and true to her first couple series and then now just beat the crap out of her all the time. And I'm like, what do you expect her to write the same book over and over again?
Yeah.
Apparently so. Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap her up. This is your gray romance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot more gray romance books that we love that just aren't, I mean, we could probably do this video like we talked about our dark romance video. We could do it several times. We could do this one several times, and we probably will do it again someday. So feel free to tell us other books that you would put on the list in the comments below, and we will probably respond like, oh yeah, we should have included that one.
Probably. Yeah.
Or we will be adding to our TBR like crazy, which is usually what happens when I go through our comments. I add a lot more books to the TBR. And, you know, I'm just, I'm never going to make it through all of them, but I am trying.
Yeah.
I
Good luck
actually
with
need
that.
to go through my Goodreads and really like get rid of a whole bunch of stuff on my TBR because the stuff like from when I first started reading, I think there's a good chunk of books on there that I would have very little interest in anymore.
Mm-hmm. Same. I do
But
that
who has time to
sometimes.
go dive through
I
the
don't.
Goodreads? So,
No, don't gotta do that. Nope. Nope.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for
Make
watching. Oh, go for it. Yep.
I forgot
Sorry.
that part because you
I forgot
brought
that
through.
part.
Make sure to check back. I got off on a sidetrack. Sorry. Make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and sometimes Wednesdays for new videos from us.
I was listening to the pause. I'm like, why are we pausing? Okay, cool. Yes. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.